already it seems, research I did, that the Florida League of Cities is against this constitutional amendment that comes up in November. Florida League of Cities against it. The Association of Florida Counties is against it. Oh, government worker unions, I believe like the SEIU, are against it,
Oh,
which for me is a reason to be for anything that government workers are against. And it's because they don't want their own ox gored. They don't want to have to spend less money. But the great thing is that when government has less money to spend, government is better at what it does. I mean, up in New York, where the taxes literally are the highest in the country, I went there months before leaving. I got that new Real ID with all of your, you had to show them all of this permanent ID and your firstborn child and all that. And they gave me a noon appointment, and I didn't get served till 3:30 as I sat there for 3.5 hours. I moved down to Florida. I go to Delray Beach, a noon appointment. I'm seen in 15 minutes, and it's over 10 minutes later.
yeah.
And that's efficient government, and I've never seen it before,
Yeah.
but it's here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we've done such a great job. There's a reason why we have a super majority in Tallahassee right now, and a great
Yeah.
governor and what they've been able to accomplish. And one of the things that's very important to us here is that, and I keep saying this to all the legislators here in the state, is that number one, we want to get this right because we want to be a model for others to look at. In so many ways, we
Yes.
have been with education and the like. I mean, we can go down the list of everything that we believe that people outside of the state look at the state of Florida and say, that's what we want to do. And they ask
Yes.
me all the time. So could this be a model for other states?
Is this the start
Yes.
of the next Proposition 13 revolution? Remember that back in California
Yeah.
in the 70s or 80s? And it really did set off a nationwide trend. And this is fascinating that it could do that in Florida. Let's remember something. A recent study came out, and in a recent 10-year period, ended maybe 2023, 2 point something trillion dollars in accumulated wealth, income, moved from blue states over to red states. Florida alone was responsible for $1.2 trillion of that $2 trillion total. That's how many businesses and people are moving here. So what happens if cities and counties lose this income from non-school property tax? I've looked into the numbers. All right, the state has a $120 million budget. It takes in 50 billion, 20 billion. It takes in 50 billion from sales tax. It takes in about 60 billion a year in property tax. The first year this kicks in, it will cost cities and counties maybe $4.5–5 billion. But here's what it does for homeowners. So my home, let's say, is worth $380,000, and it's assessed at a certain value that's lower than that because Florida in 1995 said, hey, governments, you can raise the value of that home that you're basing for your taxes only 3% a year. And so now it started out, it was at 100% of market value, but now, a $380,000 home is at, say, $219,000 in valuation. Now, the first 50,000, they don't tax at all. So that's 220 minus 50. But this would triple that first tax-free 50K to 150,000. And a year or two later, it would rise to 250,000. And when it hits 250,000 exemption, suddenly 60% of homes in Florida have no non-school property tax that they owe at all because their homes are worth less than 250K. And DeSantis wants to raise it to 500 eventually. That would mean 92% of these homestead exemption homes wouldn't have to pay any non-school property tax at all. That's the thing. The act, this constitutional amendment, this. I apologize for mansplaining. It exempts, non-school tax. School taxes aren't being cut. You still have to pay property taxes that go to school.
Right.
So shut up about it at teachers union when you say, oh, it's going to hurt our budgets for school. No, it's not.